Okay, welcome to Ham Shack Reviews. My name is Vince, and today I have a question for you. Are you a good operator? Now, maybe you asked yourself this, or somebody else has asked you, or maybe you just got your license and you want to be a good operator. First thing you want to do is to avoid religion, politics, hate speech, sex talk, and foul language. Now, these things seem to always start a fight, and I don't think a day goes by where I don't hear people arguing about this issue, or at least one of these issues. Don't do it. Next, you want to listen, understand what you're hearing, and understand what you have to say. You need to know your etiquette. When you're calling CQ, you need to know how to call CQ. You want to start with on HF, you want to start with your CQ, 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 and then your call sign W2KU. And then you can repeat it if you want. You could be CQ, 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 W2KU, CQ, CQ, W2KU. Now, if you give it more CQs or you give your call sign one time or three times, it's not really going to hurt. Just don't call for 5 minutes straight unless the bands are absolutely dead and you're hoping to get someone to find you. You are going to want to communicate well. You want to speak clearly. You want to limit any kind of code talking outside of the normal ones like QTH, QRM, QRT. You can use the common ones, but try and keep it to them. Also, abbreviations. Now, abbreviations are good, but you could screw someone up that doesn't know them and end up in CW. You can end up losing a whole conversation, or you could lose part of it on sideband. You want to know your grid square, your ITU zone, and any other thing pertaining to your location. Now, you do not want to cause interference. As hams, we don't cause interference, and we do everything we can to stop it. If you have RFI on your station, you want to find ways to stop that. I know I have ferrite on every cable in my shack, or I have very minimal at best. Do not tune up on a frequency you are talking on or going to talk on. Do not tune up on a busy frequency where people are talking. This is just another form of intentional interference. No dead keys either. Be responsible, be respectful, and work on building good operating skills. These will take you all through your ham career. No CB talk. Now, that's a good one. Many of us come from CB, and I did, but I had about a 26-year hiatus in between my CB career and my ham career, so I had a long time to forget what I had learned, but you definitely want to forget what you have learned. No CB talk. One day on our club repeater, I heard a guy saying, "You're wall to wall and treetop tall," and oh man. You want to know how to use your radio, your filters, your mic, your key, and all the peripherals related to it, like watt meters, antenna tuners, your amplifier. All these things need to work together and work together smoothly. So you need to know how to use them. Now, one of my favorite things is DX, chasing DX. When you're chasing DX, you want to know the call sign before calling the person. It gets my goat when I hear somebody call 20, 30, 40 times, get the station, and then ask them what their call sign is. You should know that before you're calling them. You're only taking time away from the next guy that's trying to get in. You want to listen to be sure you know who you're talking. And there's also other reasons to listen I'll cover in another video. You want to make your call and listen. No endless calling. Like I'll hear a guy called and I'll hear 3 other guys called and I'll hear 2 other guys called, and when you think it's stopping, another guy calls, then 2 other guys call, and then 3 other guys call. And the person that's actually working the frequency can't get in to answer anybody. Make your call and then listen. No run-on calling where you call and you only give it a second and then you call again and you give it a second and then you call again. I was trying to get this guy one time in a pile-up, and I got a short 4-letter call sign. And he would call, and then by the time I called, he was already halfway through his call again. Now, he didn't take any time to try and hear someone. So that can be a difficult issue. So do not do that if you're actually running the pile-up, or even if you're trying to break through the pile-up. It can be annoying and downright disrespectful to others. Contesting. Now, with a contest, You want to speak fast. You want to keep your exchanges short. Keep them very short. Just what you need to do, your call sign and your exchange. No conversations. I mean, when you got 100 people calling and you're trying to talk to the guy, that's kind of rude and disrespectful. So just keep that down. Talk over and doubling. Normally you wouldn't try to talk over someone, and I don't think it's really good in a contest either, but you can't avoid it. Just don't try to be intentional about it. And doubling, even in a rag chew, doubling happens, but try to keep it to a minimum. Learn split operation. Not a single time I hear someone working split operation is it being done correctly. There's always someone calling on the DX's or the contester's calling frequency where he can't hear you. All you're doing is interrupting the people that are trying to hear him. So know how to work split frequency before you try to do it. And also learn how to identify when someone is doing it. Make sure you understand the contest you're doing. Make sure you know the rules, you know the exchange, and you know how to submit your logs correctly. That's important. Normally, most contests would do Cabrillo format, some don't. I had one recently where I just had to copy it and send it in, which was interesting. Now, when you transmit, you want to transmit good, clean audio. You don't want an audio gain too loud where you're clipping. You don't want it too soft where you can't be heard. You want to keep your background noise down or even non existent. An amplifier can be a good cause of fan noise. It can also amplify whatever noise you have already on your signal. Be mindful of that, and you could even get something that has a noise gate to eliminate it if you want. Do not hold the key down while talking to someone that's in the room with you. Do not hold the key down while you're trying to adjust settings on your radio. Basically, you're holding everybody on that frequency hostage when you do that, and people don't like it. I know I'm known to spin the dial when someone does that. You know the saying, spin off? That's what I do. And now you got repeaters. Repeaters have a different type of etiquette, and when you call on a repeater, you don't call CQ. You just give your call sign and listening, or your call sign and monitoring, or you can even give your call sign and the frequency. I tend to give my call sign and the last three digits of the frequency. Like W2KU listening 745. And that's it. If somebody's there, they'll come back to you. Now, when you're working with a handheld or even a mobile, you want to know the location of the repeaters, especially with a handheld, because you only have a 4 to 5 mile range, maybe 6 miles if the repeater's really high, to get to it. And it's really annoying when there's a net going on and you're engaging the repeater, but it's all static because your signal's not making it in, or you're just engaging it enough to chunk it. That's not good operating. You want to know your transmit range with your radio so that don't happen. Now, there's a lot of nets on repeaters and they're structured. They're usually schedules, like there'll be a 9 o'clock net where you talk about a certain thing, and you have a net control operator and you have to follow the way everybody does things. So you want to listen first, and then you can check into the end of the net once you understand the etiquette. The term you may hear on repeaters is DFQ. That means dead full quieting. That means you're crystal clear and you don't have any static coming in with you. That's something you want to achieve. And also, you want to know how to program repeaters. Because when you use a repeater, you are transmitting on one frequency and receiving on another. And then there's a PL tone or even a CTCSS tone that works on both transmit and receive. And that has to be set correctly, along with the offset, which is the difference between the transmit and the receive frequencies. You can also join your local club if you have one local or close enough to go to. Now, normally with your club and with repeaters, you may have emergency management. It could be Aries, Races, or in our club, something called Oxcom, which is a combination of both. You could do services like we live in a hurricane area, and we're called out to operate communications for shelters during floods or tornadoes or hurricanes or any kind of inclement weather where people have to evacuate. We also do an event which falls under MCOM. It's called the Bike MS-150 Bike Ride, and we are communicators for that, as well as probably 120 other people, local hams, even not so local ones. They come down and get a room for the weekend. Also, following the repeater and club format, you have Skywarn, which is where you can report weather conditions. You can monitor what you see, or you can get a little radio, or you can get a little weather station. Accurate makes some good ones. And you could call in on the radio, or you could report directly to the weather service the conditions that are in your area. Now, this can be very helpful in the cases of spot tornadoes or flash floods. This can save lives. So this is another good thing to do. Now, another good thing I think that helps is you make your QRZ page, write a bio, and add some images. Now, what this does is when you're in a conversation with someone, they can look you up and they can see your bio and see your pictures, and it helps give you something to talk about. It can turn a 5-minute QSO into a 20-minute QSO. And also, it could be interesting to person. Say, okay, I just talked to this guy in Spain, and he has all these big towers and antennas, and he sounded really good. And it just adds more depth to the hobby. Get yourself a good logging program and log all your contacts. And log them in a UTC or a Zulu time. This can be if you want to get confirmations for a contest, or if you're working towards a DXCC or something else. But also, it could be for the person that you talk to that's trying to do the same. And you can give him that confirmation. That's a good habit, and it's a good sign of a good operator when you can do that. One other thing you could do for yourself is be open, be outgoing, be personable, have a good attitude, be friendly. And if I haven't said it, be interesting. Be someone people want to talk to. And if you are, and the hobby will just be something you want to keep doing. Now, I hope you found this helpful. Please remember to like and ding that bell to catch all my videos. And have a good day. 73s.